The ARCA Racing Series makes its way from the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway to the short track of Toledo Speedway. And 15-year-old Kyle Benjamin, in only his third start, will bring the field to the green flag. How about 17-year-old Austin Self out of Texas, making his first ARCA start? He starts 10th today. 18-year-old Mason Mingus, continuing the youth movement, will start third. He's currently second in the point standings behind 51-year-old Frank Kimmel. Kimmel starts fourth today and carries 9 career Toledo wins along with him.
The short tracks are where the ARCA Racing Series lives. A little bumping and banging short track style. The trouble. Oh. The battle continues up front. Door to door, a little contact there.
And that's what you love to see. Good, hard racing like this.
Chris Buescher has become the king of Toledo.
Welcome to Toledo, Ohio. And we're getting ready for the Menards 200. 200 laps around this half-mile racetrack. It's short track racing that doesn't get any better. A perfect day for racing. 83 degrees, a slight breeze, and partly cloudy skies. What do we have to know about what's going to take place today? Well, one of the big stories will be youth versus experience here at Toledo Speedway. We have so many young drivers trying to make a name for themselves, mixed right in there with some of the best in ARCA Racing Series history. And of course, the track, a very historic racetrack here at Toledo Speedway. Hello everyone, Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you high atop the press box as we get ready for the 5th race of the 2013 season. We talk a little bit about youth and experience. You've got a 15-year-old bringing the field to the green flag right beside a 57-year-old in Ken Schrader.
Yeah, but that Ken Schrader 57-year-old has 15 wins here in this series. He's led over 2,000 laps in his 60 starts in the ARCA Racing Series. And right behind them, they have Frank Kimmel, a 9-time champion, a winner of 77 races. So should that 15-year-old be able to run with those guys? No. Is he able to run with those guys? Yes. But Donnie Richardson, I think Ken Schrader's crew chief, said it best. These young guys may not know that this race really starts when we put the last set of tires on.
And we talk about youth versus experience. How about a very old and historic racetrack here in Toledo Speedway? A tough one, Phil.
Yeah, and this is one car at a time for qualifying. Kelly Kovsky gets around, backs into the outside wall. And next, it's going to be worse for Robert Bajozzo, the 91 car. He actually crashed so hard that he's going to have to go. He actually has to go home, did not have a backup car. So this is a very tricky racetrack, Rick.
And we'll find out, will that youth and experience and good equipment help these young drivers succeed over the experience? Let's hear from our pole winner. He's with Jim Trado.
And Rick, our pole setter, is extremely fast. This young 15-year-old was fast in practice, obviously fastest in qualifying. But Kyle Benjamin, I got to ask you, at this tender age, how are you able to manage this race car for all 200 laps, knowing you're fast for just a few?
Well, we came here, we practiced and tested, and our car has been proven to be pretty fast in all kinds of conditions. It was cold here yesterday, we were fast, and we tested actually in these conditions. So looking forward to a fast car. Kevin Reed's had really fast cars in the past at this track. So I'm ready to see what the race is holding for us. Should be pretty interesting. We have Ken Schrader on the outside. Man, he's going to be tough on the start, but I'm ready for it.
He's been ready for a couple of days, guys, a couple of weeks since they tested here. He's been fast throughout. He talked about Ken Schrader. Let's find out what he has to say with our Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Jim. I'm standing by with Ken Schrader. He's been very busy signing autographs. He's got a big hospitality group today for Federated. You got a fast race car. What's it going to take to keep it up front today, Kenny?
Oh, just gotta make the right pit strategy, get in out of the pits, and keep all the fenders on. And you know, there's some really good cars here, so it'll be tough.
Is this a one-stop or two-stop race for you?
They haven't told me yet. I'll just come in whenever they tell me to.
Okay, Kenny Schrader's already a winner this weekend. He bet Tom Hessert $100 he'd out-qualify him. Already got 100 in the pocket.
And those drivers are already strapped in. We were able to talk to them before they got strapped into their cars. It is time to get this event underway, and that means we've got to fire the engines. Let's go back trackside for today's command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsport.
Drivers, start your engines!
A record crowd on hand at Toledo Speedway to see short track racing on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon. And the cars have begun to roll around Toledo Speedway. Welcome once again. Want to take a look at our Menards Pole Award presented by Ansel, going to the youngest pole winner in the history of the ARCA Racing Series, just 15 years old. After this lap, he said it felt really smooth.
Smooth, fast as smooth, maybe. What a great job. Check out the Ansel gloves he's wearing to accept his award.
A lot of activities taking place here in the Toledo area. The Toledo Mud Hens were taking on the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. And Spencer Gallagher was given the honor of throwing out the first pitch.
Shook off the first
He shook
sign.
off, I'm pretty sure he shook off the fastball, and that had to have been the curve that he delivered. We'll ride along with a few different drivers today, one of those being Spencer Gallagher. He starts 16th today.
We're also going to ride along with the 25 car of Justin Boston. He will start 11th in a Zaloop Electronics Recycling Toyota for Venerini Motorsports.
Also on board with 9-time series champion, 9-time Toledo winner Frank Kimmel. He'll start 4th today in the Menards number 44.
Outstanding start to the 2013 season for Mason Mingus. He will drive the Diamond Equipment 811 Call Before You Dig Chevy for Wintron Racing, and he will start 3rd.
And Mason Mingus is a rookie, and he is our Scott rookie spotlight for this race here in Toledo. Mason Mingus, a very impressive young man, already has put together some pretty impressive numbers. Second in the points behind 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel. In just 17 career starts, 11 top 10 finishes. Before the green flag flies, let's get final thoughts. We start with Ray.
Well, thank you, Rick. With the hot, slick conditions out on the racetrack today, I believe the guys will be up and down pit road at least 2 times today. They've got 6 tires down here in the pits, but the pit stalls are very, very small here. 21 feet long and 10 feet wide, and a race car 17 foot long. It's going to be a lot of action down here today as they try to get in here and get their tires on. That's going to be a lot to watch today, and I believe it'll happen at least twice today. Jim Trado?
Well, Ray, I'm on the head end of pit road where the pit stall number 1 was chosen by our pole sitter. This is the best, cleanest shot out. Of those 6 tires, though, the question is, when do you put on 2 tires? Maybe you pit once for 4 tires. I talked to Mason Mingus' crew chief, Mark Rutt, who won the 09 Series Championship as a crew chief with Justin Lofton. I said, what did you guys do in 09? How are you going to help manage your driver's race with the tire choices? He said, it's a matter when the cautions fall. But I think if we go about 80 laps into it, 1 time, 4 tires, that's our plan. We'll see how the cautions fall and play out. I do know that Chris Buescher, who's won a ton of races here recently, pitted once for 4 tires the last time he went to Victory Lane here at Toledo Speedway.
Thanks, Jim. Great insight as we're getting ready for 200 laps here. Take a look at this front row. You've got a 15-year-old in Kyle Benjamin, the rookie stripe on the back end of that race car, and a 57-year-old Ken Schrader, who's won here 4 times, making up your front row.
Well, look, he's won in the Cup Series. He's won in the Nationwide Series. He was actually the first guy to do the triple in NASCAR, to win in all 3 of the major divisions. He's won in the East. He's won in the West. He's won in open wheels. Anything that has wheels, Kenny Schrader's won it.
Well, and you talk about the veterans versus the youth. Ken Schrader will probably race in 6 races next week.
Yeah, he was a little bit disappointed that this is his only race this week, but he said, I'll make up for it next week running 6 times.
Getting a lot of seat time is Ken Schrader. It's been 2.5 years, though, since Ken Schrader has been in an ARCA race. We'll see if he's lost his edge. The field all in line. Kyle Benjamin on the inside. Youngest pole winner ever brings the field to the green flag. It's in the air. We're underway. Great start for the young man as they go 2 by 2 behind him.
It was such a good start that it allowed Kenny Schrader to jump in front of the second row and second from the outside pole position.
Are we going to see multiple lines here, Phil? Are they going to have to pass on the inside?
I think so. I think
can't run too wide here. It's a little bit of progressive banking down in 1 and 2, but you definitely want to work on somebody, get underneath him at the exit of the corner, and beat him down to the next one.
See that 99 of Mason Mitchell, Rouleau brothers entry. Now trying to fight for position with the 90 of Grant Enfinger.
Yeah, Grant Enfinger does a nice job here at Toledo. I believe he has top 5 finishes his last 3 starts here.
One of the cool things the Rouleau brothers did with that 99, that was the number of Dick Trickle. So they actually have put in memory of Dick Trickle right on the driver's panel above the driver's door.
Yeah, there was a long history with the Rouleau brothers who feel that 99 car, and Dick Trickle. He drove for them back in the day.
Now the field working their way around slower lap traffic. James Harvey Hilton in the 48 has slowed, and the caution flag comes out early. Issues in turn 2. 69 has come to stop Corbin Forrester.
Doesn't appear to be a whole lot of damage to the 69 car. That's the car fielded out of Kimmel Racing. Bill Kimmel and Will Kimmel field this car for Corbin Forrester.
So he gets it running once again, and Fuzzy's on the quarter panel of that race car. Pretty quick caution coming out here. That means another quick restart. Take another look. Gets sideways. Might have had some help.
Might have had some help, but I'm not sure. It looked like Kelly Kovsky in the 16 car, the blue car, was right behind him. Not sure if he made contact or not. The back end looks pretty clear on the 69.
James Hilton will get the free pass. In the ARCA Racing Series, we don't have double file restarts. The lead lap cars will start on the outside, the lap down cars on the inside.
Well, that is double file.
That is double file.
But not NASCAR style, not shootout style.
Let's go back trackside. Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Rick. Keeping my eye on the number 90. You guys mentioned how well Grant Enfinger's been running here at Toledo. This particular race car that he has today, they actually used at Salem, but it got pretty tore up. They had to replace the entire sides on both right and left corners of this race car, so they had a lot of work to do. They didn't get the car back until Tuesday afternoon from the paint shop, so these guys have been pretty busy getting ready to race for here at Toledo.
And Grant Enfinger, always good in the ARCA Racing Series, was able to finally break through and get his first win earlier this year at Mobile.
Yeah, hometown track for Grant. I know how much that meant to him to get that first win.
So many times he's finished second. Here's another racetrack where he has experience, and you take a look at the numbers of this facility.
It's a little bit different. Turn 1 and 2, the turns are banked 12 to 13 degrees. A little bit of progressive banking down 11 degrees in 3 and 4, but a very, very fast little half mile here. Rick, I've been coming here my whole life. You see that first ARCA race in 1963? I was here for that.
There's been a lot of racing that's taken place. Phil, you've been one of the lucky ones to see a lot of it. Stay with us. More here on Speed. The restart. Green flag back in the air. Benjamin out in front of Ken Schrader. Just behind him, the 32 of Mason Mingus, the 18-year-old out of Brentwood, Tennessee.
And then Frank Kimmel, 9-time winner here at Toledo, 9-time champion. They tested here. That's something they haven't done a whole lot since he joined this team, Thor Sport Racing. But they did test here, had a great test.
Frank Kimmel's team actually was working Friday night in Charlotte for the Truck Series race. Got on a plane early and were here early in the morning on Saturday when they started the test.
How about Grant Enfinger, the 90 car, getting by the 77 of Tom Hessert for the 5th spot.
Enfinger now on the back bumper of Frank Kimmel.
Boy, it looks like Grant has a good car right now.
Again, a warm day early in this race. Limited amount of tires on pit road, so could Frank Kimmel be using some of that experience, maybe saving his equipment early in this one?
He knows you're not going to win this race in the first 100 laps. He knows you're not going to win it in the first 150 laps. The last 50 laps is when it's time to go. But right now, Grant Enfinger wants to go now.
Grant Enfinger trying to get around that 44. Hooking the white line as he came out of turn number 4.
Got him sideways, too, at the exit of turn 4.
Through 1 and 2, Enfinger all over the back bumper of Frank Kimmel.
Pretty big transition, and when you drop those left sides down off the pavement at the exit of 4, you run through a bump. Watch Enfinger. You see that car bounce.
He goes below the white line, and as you mentioned, quite a transition there. While those two are working on that 4th spot, out in front, Kyle Benjamin trying to hold off Ken Schrader. Schrader all over the back bumper of Benjamin.
And to me, that's just like Kenny Schrader. With all his experience, he said, I don't have to pass him. I want to worry him to death right here.
All over the rear view mirror is Ken Schrader on the 15-year-old. It was just a week ago. Kyle Benjamin was in a driver's education car. He said that his instructor had a brake in front of her. And he said, my main goal was to make sure she never had to use that brake anytime he was doing the driver's part of the driver's education class.
It's really quite amazing. A high school sophomore just finishing up his sophomore season, and he's out here doing battle with some of the very best in the business.
Talked to his dad, Steve Benjamin. He was making the comment that Kyle has been racing ever since he was 5 years old. Well, to put that into perspective, the guy he's racing with now is 57 years old. Ken Schrader was 42 before Kyle Benjamin was even born.
That is amazing.
Third, fourth, and fifth on your screen.
These guys are about 3.5 seconds behind Kyle Benjamin right now. But again, just log some laps here. Get some laps down. I think Grant Enfinger feels like he has a good car here. I think he's going to try to get by Frank Kimmel and see if he can go up and chase those front two.
Continues to get all over the back bumper of Kimmel. Once again, working their way through 1 and 2.
Got to spin in turn 4.
And around goes the 40. Cody Lane gets into the grass. We stay green. Caution does not come out. And Cody Lane into the infield.
He did a great job keeping that car from sliding back up the hill. Got it down on the apron.
That's the entrance to pit lane, and he is making his way onto pit lane now. Battle continues for the 4th spot. Enfinger and Kimmel. Kimmel holding this position. Enfinger wanting it. Working their way by Thomas Prater into 2.
We talked at the top of the show how 83 degrees right now, and that temperature will probably go up a little bit before the end of this race. These are very, very warm conditions here. These guys have to work hard on this little fast half mile.
And right now, one of the hardest working drivers has got to be Grant Enfinger. Kyle Benjamin has a challenge mounting. Here to the inside goes Ken Schrader. Schrader trying to take the top spot away.
Really impressed that Kyle Benjamin realized that Ken Schrader was there. No, he probably had some help from his spotter, but nonetheless gave him some room. Again, at 15 years old, he knows it's too early to be trying to block Kenny Schrader, and when Kenny had a run.
Slower lap traffic held up the 15 of Kyle Benjamin, and that gave the opportunity to the veteran Ken Schrader. Schrader goes by. He's got 4 wins here at Toledo, and he'd like to add to that number.
Again, only 60 career starts coming into this race, and he's led over 2,000 laps. 15 wins here in the ARCA series.
And now Schrader also having to deal with the slower lap traffic. Kelly Kopsky just in front of him.
That's an interesting story. Kelly Kopsky, this is his first race on asphalt. Always runs Springfield and McCoy. As a matter of fact, I think the last 5 times he's had top 10 finishes on the mile dirt. First time on asphalt.
And we talked about how difficult of a time he had in qualifying. Actually got turned around coming off of turn number 4. Right now in front of the field in Toledo, it's Ken Schrader. Tomorrow on the Hub, Elliott Sadler is going to break down the All-Star race. And we'll go behind the highlights with an exclusive recap of the weekend through the winner's eyes. That's Jimmy Johnson, of course. Don't miss NASCAR Race Up tomorrow 6 Eastern. Only on Speed.
Great All-Star weekend. Kicked off by the truck race Friday night.
Continues on through Sunday here in Toledo, Ohio. Caution has come out. The 11 of Kyle Weatherman, the 15-year-old.
Had a flat tire. He spun coming off turn number 4. The left front tire was down on that car. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened. This is Spencer Gallagher's onboard. We got a little bit of help. Yeah, I think he was slowing maybe to come to pit road. Slowed unexpectedly, got turned around. There's another view of it right there.
Lifted up.
He has made it to pit
09,
road.
maybe Charles Evans Jr. got underneath the back of that one. Jim.
Hey guys, he was on the radio just before the spin saying, I'm coming this time. I've got a tire down. His crew chief Mike Harper called for 4 tires. But spotter Andy Hillenberg with his veteran wisdom said you'll only have time to change 2 to stay only 1 lap down on that pit stop. So just left side tires, the left front definitely down on the bead. Ray?
Jim, I've been watching Tom Hessert in that number 77. He's been going backwards, said on the radio a couple of times that in the initial part of the run, his car just will not go. So he talked over with his crew chief Chad and said, I think next time we need to start with a little higher air pressures on the get-go. He said it goes okay on the long run, but not very good in the first 15 laps.
Great point, Ray. He started in the 5th spot, dropped all the way back to 9th. So Tom Hessert trying to figure out how he can make that car a little bit more racy.
Yeah, Tom's very good here. Last 2 runs, top 5 finishes here at Toledo for Tom. Already been to victory lane this year. Got the big win earlier this year at Salem.
Billy Venturini was giving his driver a little bit of a hard time. He actually tweeted a picture of the car. We talked earlier about the driver's ed situation that young Kyle Benjamin was dealing with, and sure enough, a 15-year-old going through driver's ed just before racing here in Toledo.
I think that would certainly help him here for Toledo.
Jim.
Well, Kyle Benjamin is obviously the pole sitter after he gave up the lead to Kenny Schrader. His veteran crew chief, Kevin Reed, said, "Hitchin works. You're better than he is." The young man under this caution had his first chance to say, "Guys, the car's a little bit loose." His crew chief reminded him, "Do not worry about staying with Schrader. We've got a better car. Save it for the end." So that veteran wisdom coming to form here for that 15-year-old who's hoping for his first victory to become the youngest ARCA race winner ever.
Green flag back in the air. Ken Schrader out front. Kyle Benjamin with a great restart, staying right behind him.
Yeah, Mason Mingus holds down the third spot in the 32 car, and Frank Kimmel in fourth. Grant Enfinger fifth.
Behind them, the 99 of Mason Mitchell, Austin Self, Matt Tifft running in the top 8.
Yeah, Matt's making his ARCA Racing Series debut. Had a great top 10 run in the K&N race at Richmond a few weeks ago, doing a nice job here.
And once again, the top 2 trying to separate themselves, and then the battle for 4th and 5th continues.
See, Mason Mingus not able to keep his car quite as low as the front 2 are, and he's losing a little bit of ground.
This has got to be a great opportunity for Kyle Benjamin, who's running second now, to see the line of a veteran like Ken Schrader, follow him around the racetrack. And right now we see Enfinger has lost a little bit of his patience and made his way by that 44 of Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, I think Grant Enfinger knows he has a great race car right now, and he's going to try to see if he can get up here and maybe do battle with the front 2. But, you know, Rick, we talked about youth versus experience. This is a very, very busy racetrack. They'll be in traffic in another 4 or 5 laps, lap traffic. That's where that experience really comes into play. That's how Kenny Schrader got the lead away from Kyle Benjamin in traffic.
And there goes Enfinger looking to the inside of Mason Mingus.
Grant has position. He's going to be able to drive by with ease here.
Looks like the 90 might be one of the strongest cars right now on the racetrack.
It's amazing how much winning that race at Mobile built his confidence. He went to Talladega with a great opportunity to win. You see him driving away from Mason Mingus. That's Mason Mingus on board we're taking a look out of.
And just behind Mason Mingus, the 44 driving along in the Ansel on board with Frank Kimmel. Tough racetrack here too, Phil.
It really is. You know, this racetrack was repaved several years ago, so it loses a little bit grip every year, just like racetracks do. A lot of character. And when we talk about it losing grip, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's actually, I think, drivers like that because it puts a lot more of the control in their hands.
You can make a difference. You can go out here and run these things wide open. A driver can't make as much difference.
Chasing that 4th spot, Frank Kimmel. Just in front of him, Mason Mingus.
Yeah, Mason Mitchell, the 99 car, is right behind Frank Kimmel. He's doing a nice job. He's right with Frank here, about a car length behind. There's Mason Mingus. This is what a driver goes through. Keep your eyes on him. He's pretty smooth right now. There he is at the exit turn 4. You see, you have to correct a little bit. These cars have a tendency to spin the tires up off the corner. They lack a little bit of forward bite. He's got to correct for that.
That's a lap with that young man. He does look like he's very smooth on a Sunday drive there behind the wheel.
There's that 99 right there. We were talking about Mason Mitchell for the Rulo brothers doing a nice job. Mason has had a little bit of bad luck this year. 8th at Mobile was his best finish. Remember, the Rulo brothers have figured this place out. They won 4 of the last 5 races here with our last year's champion, Chris Buescher.
Yeah, Chris Buescher actually came here and helped with Mason Mitchell as far as the test session that was a week ago. Now a good battle here between the 89 on the inside. That's Matt Tifft. And that 22 on the outside of Austin Self.
Ooh, a problem for the 15.
15 slow on the racetrack, right on the front stretch. Staying up high right now. Might be off power.
It does not look like it's under power. It's going to be very difficult for Kyle to get down. Cars all the way around this racetrack.
Rolling down the back stretch, extremely slow. He's going to try to get down. That is the preferred line here to up next to the wall. He moves down right in front of the 32 and the 44. What's going on, Jim?
Ignition issue. Ignition issue. They told the young driver to switch ignition boxes. That's not cured the issue. The car is not under power right now in turn 3.
Looks
Trying
like
to
he
come
will
through.
make it back to pit road here. He's about 100 yards from pit road.
And he has rolled all the way around the racetrack, and while that's taking place, a battle for the lead. Infinger gets by the 52. So Grant Infinger, we talked about how strong of a race car Grant had. He has been able to go by Ken Schrader.
We saw Ken Schrader get the lead away from Kyle Benjamin in traffic. Grant Infinger did the same thing to Ken Schrader. He got it back in traffic.
So now Infinger in front of the field here at Toledo. Infinger, then Ken Schrader, 1 and 2. Mason Mingus, Frank Kimmel, Mason Mitchell, your top 5. And
Side-by-side battle right there. That's for the 5th spot or 4th spot. Frank Kimmel, Mason Mitchell.
Those two side by side for that position. Kimmel has the preferred line, and Mason Mitchell will drop back into the 5th position.
Similar situation to how we had a lead change. A lot of traffic that allowed Mason Mitchell to get up beside Frank Kimmel. Frank was actually alongside the 32 of Mingus for a moment, and then had to pull back in line.
And Austin Self in the 22 was about to take advantage of those two racing side by side, but once they got nose to tail, now they've been able to pull away from that 22 by a car length. So great racing early on. It was Kyle Benjamin from the drop of the green flag. Then Ken Schrader, once they got into traffic, was able to get by. And now we've got a new leader in Grant Infinger. And another problem, slow on the track, is Spencer Gallagher.
Spencer's going to try to get down to the bottom. You see some smoke trailing. You see some damage to the right side of that Allegiant Air Chevrolet for Spencer Gallagher.
Potentially a right front problem for Spencer Gallagher. And we stay green as he inches his way around the track. Sure enough, a lot of damage to the right side.
Yeah, he made some pretty significant contact. Looks like with the outside wall. Let's see if we can take a look. This is from his onboard. Oh, tire went down.
Right front goes down, into the wall he goes. And then he had to creep around the racetrack until he could get back onto pit road. Jim.
Kyle Benjamin's behind pit wall, but now looking under the center of the car. It was running when he came behind pit wall, but ever so slightly, they think it's not the ignition. Now they're looking at the clutch. The driveline issue now on the 15 is the issue.
What a tough race for Kyle Benjamin, but you can't blame inexperience on that, though.
And still out front, the 90 of Grant Infinger got his first win earlier this year. For the lead once again, Infinger and Schrader. Schrader has the advantage now. These guys have been doing this for the last 7 laps.
Side by side from the time we went away to commercial break. You saw Kenny Schrader use that 2 of Thomas Prater for a pick. 2 evenly cars matched. You wouldn't think that we have 134 or 136 laps to go the way these guys are going at it.
Ken Schrader back out in front now. Infinger was able to run the low line and get by Schrader. Then Schrader has battled back, and those two have really put on a great show here for the top spot.
The car's pretty evenly matched. I thought at one time it looked like Grant Infinger may have the advantage in cars right now, but Kenny Schrader's been able to get back by him and ease out in front of him.
On lap 67 of 200. Talked a lot about the tire situation. 6 tires in the pits. A lot of the crew chiefs were talking about on the first stop maybe come in and just change right side tires depending upon how many were on the lead lap. Well, right now there's only 13 cars on the lead lap, and look what our race leaders are coming up to.
That's what we talked about with traffic. You see, this is Frank Kimmel's onboard, the Menards Ansel onboard. Right in front of him is Mason Mitchell. Right in front of Mason Mitchell is Mason Mingus. That's 3rd, 4th, 5th, right there.
A lot of lap down traffic that these drivers are having to work their way through. Trying to get by that 09 of Charles Evans Jr. Moves up the racetrack. That allows Mason Mingus and Mason Mitchell the opportunity to take the low line. Here comes Kimmel.
Pretty impressed with that 89 car right behind Frank Kimmel, too. Matt Tiff making his first ever start, hanging right with 9-time champ.
Tiff running in the 6th spot. Then it's Tom Hessert, Austin Self, Justin Boston, and the 02 of Josh Williams. They're your top 10. Still a lot of slower traffic that the leaders are trying to make their way around.
3 wide.
Going into turn number 1. Mason Mingus and Mason Mitchell able to get by that 64. What's going on with the 23, Jim?
He popped the right front tire, guys, and broke the upper A-arm. So the 23 Allegiant Air Chevrolet, the driver's behind the wall.
They've actually got a small fire now where the right side tire actually hit the header. That's how far the right front was caved in. They're putting that out. But Spencer Gallagher, who finished second at Salem, high hopes today, dashed early. He's behind the wall and out.
Yeah, right front tire going down at a short track. You hit the wall here at Toledo, and it does a lot of damage.
We could tell from his onboard that he got a lot of speed out of it before he hit the wall, and then we still saw that amount of damage to it.
Still in front, Ken Schrader.
I think we're in our window right now. If the caution flag were to come out, I think all our lead lap cars would go ahead and come on down, get their right side tires now, and hopefully go to about lap 150, around 150, to put the 4 tires on.
Schrader's led 39 laps, going on 40 now. Kyle Benjamin led 22 before he had issues. Grant Enfinger's led 12. Closing in on the halfway point of this race. Schrader looking very strong in front of Enfinger. And around goes the 10. Blake Hilliard in the 10 goes around. The caution comes out. Just as you mentioned, this is a perfect opportunity for these drivers to come onto pit road and put on those right side tires.
Yeah, just as you mentioned, only 13 cars right now on the lead lap, so they know they can come in even if some of the guys don't. Let's see what happens here. There's a 61 of Jake Francis. Is there going to be a little contact? They go down to turn number 1. There's a bit of contact right there. That's all it took to turn that 10 around.
Francis down on the bottom tries to squeak by, but it was him that got into the back of the 10 of Blake Hilliard, and around goes Hilliard, bringing out our 3rd caution.
Pit road is closed right now. I think we're going to see our leaders come down pit road as it opens once the field catches up to the pace car.
The open close flag for pit road is just outside of turn 4.
There it is right there,
signifying that pit road is still closed. Once the field gets in behind the pace car, it will then open up pit road and allow these teams to make their way onto pit road. A very tight pit road, as we heard Ray Dunlap talk about earlier. The pit stall is very, very small, as well as a tight radius gives these drivers a little bit of a challenge when they make their way onto pit road.
We've seen races won and lost on pit road at little short tracks like this. Here they come.
Ken Schrader bringing the lead lap cars onto pit road. Let's head down to Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Rick. Grant Enfinger will be the first to get to his pit stall. They've decided to go right side tires. They're going to go up a half a pound in the right rear. They thought about pulling some tape off, but Grant said the balance is really good. Frank Kimmel brings his Menards Toyota in. They are going to service him on the right side. They'll stuff it full of Sunoco fuel. And now let's check in on the leader with Jim Trado.
Kenny Schrader's here in the Federated Auto Parts Chevrolet. Pit stall number 3. They're going to go right side tires. Just a small adjustment on the track bar and tire pressure to get that car to turn better in the center. 2 tires and Schrader's gone. 2 rights.
Yeah, easily beats the rest of the field. It looks like Frank Kimmel may end up coming out in the 2nd spot.
Sure enough, Kimmel with a great pit stop with his crew. 2nd off. So now you have 13 wins between the top 2. Coming off of pit road. Issues for the 90 of Enfinger.
They get done with their pit work, right side tires. He has to wait for cars to clear. Now he pulls out in line. He's going to have to follow all these cars to their pit stop. You see Frank Kimmel, he ends up having to stop behind Taylor Ferns. She had to stop to allow Frank Kimmel to get out.
That's how crowded pit road is here at Toledo.
That's exactly what Ray Dunlap was talking about at the top of the show.
So a great pit stop by the 52 team got them out first. Grant Enfinger in the 90 struggling to get off of pit road. Green flag just coming out at Toledo Speedway. It's Ken Schrader in front of Frank Kimmel. They're your top 2. Justin Boston running in the 3rd spot. Grant Enfinger in 4th. And those 4 have separated themselves from 5th place in the 32 Mason Mingus.
Yeah, Mingus got caught behind a couple lap cars on the restart here. That's how he lost almost a full straightaway in a matter of 1 lap.
Top 4 staying bunched up together, though. You got Ken Schrader out front. Frank Kimmel running 2nd. The top 2, 13 wins here at this racetrack between the 2 of them.
92 career ARCA victories between the 2 of those drivers.
We talked about the long stint that Ken Schrader has been away from the ARCA series. 2.5 years. And around goes Frank Kimmel as he was going through the turn. Coming out of turn number 4, the caution will come out for Kimmel. Kimmel running second, no one near him, gets turned around.
That is amazing. I mean, we talk about 77 wins and led over 10,000 laps, and Frank spins out coming off turn 4, trying to get the power down. That's what we talked about. Talked to him yesterday. He said, I'm just a little bit snug in the center, and what that causes to me to have too much wheel input, trying to get the power down, you spin the rear tires.
One of the other things that Frank Kimmel said to us, don't worry about forward bite. I'm okay there.
Yeah,
well, this is a problem.
This is what you call a lack of forward bite. You see him getting a little bit loose right in the center, right as he gets down to the power, tries to get the power down, and then around he goes.
So Kimmel brings out our 4th caution. Right when he was getting back into the gas.
It just never caught. They got a little bit free right in the center of the corner, and then just never caught. This is from the Zaloop Toyota on board. You know, I really think Frank felt like he would be able to control that spin, and unfortunately now let's listen to him. You see, it was sideways before Frank ever got back in the throttle, and then when he got back in the throttle, just a little bit back in the throttle, it went the rest of the way around.
Started all the way around for Kimmel. So 88, lap 88 of 200, Kimmel around. He's waving the 89 saying, you need to go, Matt Tifft. I'm coming to pit road as well.
Remember, they only have one more set of tires in the pits. Great.
Dunlap.
44 is here, guys, but they do not want to put that other set of tires on, so they're going to pull these rights off, take a look at it, possibly pull a spring rubber. They just want to check the suspension there, but they do not want to put their 4 fresh tires on. It's way too early. Frank has not said anything on the radio. His crew chief, Jared Prince, has asked him what was the condition there. Just one word, loose.
And he looked, as you mentioned, Phil, loose, rolling through the center of the corner. Even before he got back into the gas, it looked as though the back end started to kick out. So brought up the 4th caution. We'll be back. Trash-talking drivers think their imports can outhorse and outrun any homegrown American muscle car. It's time to pony up or shut up on Are You Faster Than a Redneck? Special encore presentation tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Wild ride for 9-time Toledo winner Frank Kimmel. What's going on with the team, right?
Well, guys, they looked at the right rear brake bleeder, and they said it was a little bit loose back there, so they are concerned there may be some fluid coming out on the right rear. Back to green we go.
Green flag back in the air. Ken Schrader out in front of Justin Boston, and Grant Enfinger running 3rd, Mason Mingus in 4th.
Getting a report that there may have been a little smoke trailing from the 90 of Grant Enfinger. You can see it looks like it's coming out of the exhaust pipe.
Whenever he gets out of the gas, when he goes into the turns, I saw it going into turn number 1 as well. We'll take another look.
There it is right there. Certainly hasn't affected the performance. He's driving to the outside of the 25 of Justin Boston.
Trying to take second away from Justin Boston. They go into turn number 3 side by side.
Remember, Rick, you said, can you pass on the outside? I said you'd rather do it on the inside. Grant's going to try to do it on the outside.
And Enfinger very strong, number 90 today, as he works the outside of Justin Boston. Has the advantage coming off of turn number 2, and down the back stretch they go.
Looks like the smoke's just coming out the right side of that car, as you mentioned, just as it enters the corner.
But that's the exhaust. It looks as though maybe coming out of the pipes every time he gets out of the gas.
Yeah, it does. Maybe a ring issue or something like that. Again, has not affected the performance at all.
And right now he's got the 25 cleared coming out of turn number 4. Grant Enfinger completes the pass on the high side.
Justin Boston, a great run early on. Great pit work by his guys to get him out up in the top 5. Holds down the 3rd spot. Now Mason Mingus, the 32, going to try to figure out a way around Boston.
Frank Kimmel restarted after spinning back in the 14th spot. He's already moved up to 11th. But he's got a lot of work to do to get back up toward the front.
Outstanding start to this season. Only 25 points behind our point leader, Frank Kimmel. All 4 finishes in the top 10 for Mason Mingus.
And as they're running on the track now, Mason Mingus would be your point leader. So you've got a pretty good run for Mason Mingus, chasing down that 44 of Frank Kimmel. Battle for fifth. 77 of Tom Hessert on the outside. The 22 on the inside of Austin Self.
Those cars are teammates out of the Cunningham Motorsports stable.
They stay door to door.
First ever ARCA Series start for Austin Self.
Racing for that fifth position. Right behind him, the 99 of Mason Mitchell.
Remember, Mason had a little bit of trouble on pit road, lost a few spots. He was running up in the top 5. Right now he holds down the 7th spot.
Passing the halfway point at Toledo.
Spin right in front of Frank Kimmel.
And the 97 goes around. Roger Carter stopped in turns 1 and 2. Caution will come out. And that happened right in front of the 44.
Yeah, Frank was trying to put a couple cars a lap down. The 16 of Kelly Kovsky, as well as Roger Carter in the 97.
Roger Carter waiting for an opening before he turns it around. We'll take a look at what happened.
This is the exit of turn number 4. When they get down to turn number 1, watch the 16 of Kovsky. He's going to dive to the inside. They're going to make contact right in front of Frank. Fortunately for Frank, the 97 didn't slide up the hill in front of him.
Kimmel able to go around the high side. Roger Carter gets it going the right direction. Beautiful day for racing here on this Sunday afternoon in Toledo. Working their way through 3 and 4. Out in front of this field once again, it's Ken Schrader. He has already led 69 laps. Green flag back in the air.
Grant Infantry able to stay right with Kenny Schrader on this restart.
Saw a little bit of smoke. We have seen smoke coming out of the 90, the right side of that number 90. You can see it clearly when he enters turn 1 and turn 3. But as you mentioned before, it doesn't seem to be affecting the performance of that race car.
Remember, these guys about 20 laps ago had a torrid battle. They ran side by side for at least a half a dozen laps, swapped the lead 2 or 3 times.
Justin Boston holding down third. Then it's Mason Mingus and Austin Self, your top 5. Got to tip the hat to Austin Self. Very impressive debut in the ARCA Racing Series for that young man.
Yeah, but one of the very potent Cunningham Motorsports teams, as we talked about, along with Tom Hessert. Right now, Grant Enfinger says, "Okay, we're past halfway in this race here. We know we're going to have to make another pit stop to get our 4 tires. I'd like to have the lead, have some track position. Maybe I won't get blocked in the pits."
Caution comes out once again. Issues in turn 3. Looks like the 5 of Bobby Gerhardt. Also involved the 80 of Matt Tift. Or excuse me, not Tift. The 80 of Brian Finney.
I think the 55 of Taylor Ferns got some damage as well. That's her right there as Kenny Schrader goes by. Yeah, a lot of damage to that 55 car. Taylor made her debut here in the ARCA Racing Series. Had a top 10 finish her first time out.
Already the damage on the left rear.
Yeah, damage is already there in the left rear.
And Frank helped it out. So a little bit more damage to the left rear of the 55. As Taylor Ferns stopped on the track. This Thursday speed puts you in the middle of all the action as NASCAR's Top Guns buckle down for the most challenging race of the season, the 600. Live coverage from Charlotte begins Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern only on Speed. So under our 6th caution here at Toledo, let's go to pit road, Ray Dunlap.
Well, the problem for the 55 of Taylor Ferns was she had no power, but that's because the battery had gone dead. So they have pulled the right rear off. The battery is right behind the driver's seat, and they will pull that battery out and change it. And she had absolutely no power on the voltmeter, so they believe it's just the battery. Not the same situation that happened earlier with the 15.
Now, guys, that explains what happened to her when Frank Kimmel ran in the back of her. That car went dead. She just never got back to the throttle or tried to get back to the throttle, and it didn't go. That's why Frank ran into the back of her.
Good lead lap cars on the outside, lap down cars on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
Saw a lot of smoke out of the 90 when he jumped in the throttle to take off on this restart.
And Again, once he got into turn number 1, a lot of smoke on the right side of that 90 of Infinger as he got out of the gas as well. Still up front, Ken Schrader, Grant Infinger, Justin Boston, Mason Mingus, and Austin Self. That's your top 5. Tom Hesser just outside that top 5 looking in.
Justin Boston looking for his first top 5 here in the ARCA Racing Series. Had a 6th place finish in Mobile, his best. A couple top 10s already in the first 4 races.
Seen a great show already between our top 2, Ken Schrader and Grant Infinger. 2 of the best cars out front right now. Tom Hesser running in the 6th spot, started 5th, dropped back a few positions right after the drop of the green flag. They made some adjustments on that car. Now looks to be a little sportier as he runs in the 6th position.
Remember, these guys are going to be able to make another adjustment. We're going to have one more pit stop for their 4 tires. They would like to do it around lap 150. That's about 35 laps from now. See, Tom struggling with that car a little bit. Not able to keep pace with his teammate, Austin Self. Ooh, Frank gets real sideways again. He was on the inside of the 99 of Mason Mitchell. I think he ran the left sides down off the racetrack. The car jumped sideways.
Kimmel's made his way up into the top 10. He's running in the 8th position now after bringing out the caution earlier and having to restart in the 14th spot. Taking a look at how close he came to losing this one.
He jumps to the inside of Mason Mitchell. This is going down in turn number 3.
Don't think Mason knew he was down there.
I think Frank got a little bit loose too. I thought maybe he ran the left sides down off the racetrack. I think he got a little bit loose getting down in the corner there.
Battle for the lead continues. Infinger had closed the gap on that 52 of Ken Schrader.
I tell you, our 2 leaders, whoever it may have been this entire race, have not been separated by more than about 2 car lengths since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, even when Kyle Benjamin was out front, it was Ken Schrader that was all over his back bumper. And then when Schrader was able to get out front, Kyle Benjamin was able to stay right with him. Now the battle goes between Schrader and the 90 of Infinger.
Remember what Donnie Richardson said, the race really starts when you put that last set of tires on. That's when business picks up.
Using that experience, Ken Schrader in the 52, still in front of the field. Schrader once made a comment a couple years ago. Said, I don't know what I'm going to do when I slow down and stop racing as many races as I've scheduled and I've been doing over the last few years. But he said, one thing I might want to do is go give Frank Kimmel all he can handle in the ARCA Racing Series, maybe run for the full season.
Yeah, Kitty told me that too. We got to spin over in 3 and 4. Jake Francis is around in the 61 car. That brings out our caution.
7th caution now. Only 29 caution laps of the 124 that we have run. So Jake Francis will get that car refired and back in line.
I think we want to wait a little bit. I don't think we want to come in right now, Rick. I think we want to wait about 25 more laps.
Still a little bit early. You see a lot of damage to the right front of that 61. A little too early to come in for the 4 fresh tires. The last 4 tires they've got on pit road. Welcome back to the most recent caution. We strategized that they wouldn't come onto pit road maybe a little bit too early. We guessed wrong.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not a crew chief, certainly.
The 52 did come onto pit road, led the entire group of lead lap cars.
And he's going to win the battle off pit road. The 90 of Grant Enfinger will get blocked in again. There's Justin Boston. Justin came in 3rd. You see right behind Ken Schrader on the left of 99. Look at the angle. Mason Mitchell's in the pits. Kenny's going to have an unobstructed exit off the pit road. There's a 25, Justin Boston. He's going to come off 2nd. Grant Enfinger's going to come off 3rd. You see the 99 finally gets going, and he is going to get out in front of the 44 of Frank Kimmel. Watch, Frank have to avoid this tire. Well, sort of avoid the tire at the exit of pit road. The big loser was Mason Mingus. He came in 4th, and looks like he's going to come out 8th.
Green flag back in the air. Restarting out front was Josh Williams in the 02, who stayed out on the racetrack, and now Ken Schrader to the inside takes that top spot away.
I don't mind that strategy at all for Josh Williams. If he can hang on to the lead lap for another 30 or 40 laps, then put tires on. He's the only guy that's going to be able to put tires on, and he may have an advantage.
Justin Boston, Grant Enfinger racing for third. Into turn number 3. Boston on the bottom of the racetrack. Enfinger on the outside.
See, Josh realizes he's at a tire disadvantage. He's giving these guys plenty of room on the inside.
So now Justin Boston has gotten by Josh Williams in the 0-2. The 90 of Grant Enfinger following right in the tire tracks of Boston.
Grant knows it's time to go. He knows he's not going to have any other chance to adjust on this car on pit road. That's the last stop for these guys. You see Frank Kimmel move to the inside, trying to take over a spot from Matt Tifft in the 89.
Josh Williams in the 0-2 backing up again. Doesn't have as fresh of tires as the rest of these cars on the lead lap with him.
Right now for Josh Williams, just stay on the lead lap and let every other one of these lead lap cars pass him. Just stay on that lead lap.
Ray, what's happening with Justin Boston?
Guys, in that last run, he actually went from tight to pretty significantly loose. So Mike Abner, his crew chief, dropped the track bar, also made an air pressure change. Those guys went with 4 tires, got some good track position, but he said his car is much, much better right now.
Much better means second. Following behind that 52 of Ken Schrader.
Look at that run through the center and off the corner that Grant Enfinger gets. This car is really turning and really getting that power down.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Grant Enfinger has one of the top 2 cars here today, and the other one being the 52 of Ken Schrader.
Yeah, Grant's going to be able to make that pass fairly easily on the 25 of Boston. Now he's going to try to chase down that leader, Kenny Schrader.
Kenny Schrader has been dominant out front today. 99 laps led already. Enfinger has led 12. Kyle Benjamin early led 22, and Josh Williams most recently led 3 before falling back.
Boston holds down the 3rd spot. Frank Kimmel now has moved up into the 4th position. Frank's been able to overcome that spin. Oh, we have a spin over in turn number 4.
The 55, Taylor Ferns around. So the 80 of Brian Finney also involved.
Yeah, I looked up. Those 2 cars had gotten together over there in turn number 4. Obviously, they made the repairs and put a new battery in the 55 car, got her back on the racetrack. That's just raw fuel in the exhaust as she's trying to refire that car.
And it looks impressive as she does get it finally refired, but that brings out the caution once again in Toledo. Stay with us. Restart coming up. At the end of this month, the world's toughest truckers wage war. One of the most notorious tracks in NASCAR. It's the Monster Mile. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, May 31st, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, live, only on Speed.
Get the trucks going a little bit now. Get some consecutive races here.
Get some momentum. As Matt Crafton was able to hold on to the points lead after Friday's race in Charlotte. Now, field still behind the 52 of Ken Schrader. Green flag back in the air. Enfinger trying to take advantage of the fresh tires and the limited amount of laps remaining. 58 laps to go here at Toledo.
This may be the best time for Grant Enfinger to make a move here right after this restart. A lot more smoke out of the back of that 90 car than there was out there earlier.
Yep, smoking quite a bit is Enfinger, but still seems as though he's got enough power to hang with that 52.
Yeah, that smoke is definitely worsened on that 90 car, but again has not affected their performance yet. I'm sure the ARCA racing officials are keeping a close eye on it. They're relying on the drivers behind to tell them if they're getting any oil on their windshields.
Enfinger so good through the center of the turns, able to close the gap on the 52 of Schrader, but then once they come off of the turn, Schrader able to pull away.
Frank Kimmel's doing his best to try to get by the 25 of Justin Boston so he can go up here and join this battle for the lead.
Ken Schrader, Grant Enfinger 1 and 2. Justin Boston, Frank Kimmel 3 and 4.
Saw Frank struggle a little bit with forward bite there too. Tried to peek his nose underneath Boston. Got a little bit loose there at the exit. Mason Mingus on the inside.
Mingus trying to take 4th away, and he will easily do it. Up the racetrack goes Mason Mingus, and the 44 of Kimmel has to check up. Now look at the inside again as these two battle for the 4th spot.
Yeah, Mason Mingus lost his car down there as he got by Frank. Frank was able to do the crossover here, try to get back to the inside. Mason giving Frank some room.
These two, 1 and 2 in the point standings through 4 races. Frank Kimmel leading, Mason Mingus running second, and just the 18-year-old's first full season in the ARCA Racing Series.
Mason needs to finish second to Frank at Talladega. It's hard to gain on the point leader when you finish behind him.
Coming up on just 50 laps of racing to go, Ken Schrader has put some distance between himself and Grant Enfinger. Schrader looking for his 5th Toledo ARCA Racing Series win.
It's a good battle right there for the 8th position. Mason Mitchell, the 99, has it. The 22 of Austin Self trying to get it. Austin looks to the inside, got a good run up off the corner. Trying to get his nose up in there. Ooh, a little bit of contact.
Moves up the track, makes a little contact with the 99, and Self goes by. So Mason Mitchell drops back a position. Austin Self up to the 8th spot.
That's a little tight bull ring short track pass right there.
That happens on Austin Self's first career ARCA Racing Series start.
Have a couple drivers making their first start as we've talked about. Austin Self and Matt Tiff, both of them right now running in the top 10.
Grant Enfinger has lost the back bumper of that 52 of Ken Schrader. Are they talking about anything in the pits, Ray?
I just want to let you know, Rick, the 25 has dropped back a bit from the 90. Justin Boston said that he can barely see out of his windshield because there is oil coming out of the back of the 90.
And Ray, I would say that too if I was running third. I would love to try to get that car. It'd be a lot easier to pass that car if he has to pull in the pits. But that doesn't mean certainly that there isn't some oil.
And because the 52 has to check up for the slower lap traffic, a great opportunity for Enfinger to close the gap. So Schrader having to check up for the slower lap traffic allows the 90 of Enfinger to get right back on his back bumper.
See Kenny able to keep that car a little bit lower at the exit of the corner. That's going to make it really difficult for Grant Enfinger to get underneath Kenny at the exit of the corner. Grant's really good through the center of the corner, but Kenny is really good off the corner.
Ken Schrader hasn't been to victory lane in the ARCA Racing Series in almost 6 years. It was 2007 at DeCoy the last time he was able to win an ARCA Racing Series race, and looking very strong today.
Just over 40 laps to go. There's Mason Mingus right now running in the 4th spot, trailing the 25 of Justin Boston. Frank Kimmel's lost a little bit of ground to that battle for 3rd and 4th.
Mason Mingus holding on to 4th. Jim.
Just an update on Mason Mingus. This young driver came in Chester with his crew chief, Mark Rett. What they did yesterday, what they did a week and a half ago, they tested the outer groove, knowing that lap traffic would play a factor. That's, I believe, how Mingus was able to stay ahead of Frank Kimmel. Once that battle settled down, Mingus got back to style. But again, planning ahead, he said, we're not here for the fastest laps, we're here to be the smartest laps. So indeed, Mason Mingus has distanced himself now from the 44 of Kimmel.
Thank you, Jim. And Darrell Basham in the 34 struggles to get through turn 4 and actually got into the grass. Battle for the lead. Enfinger to the inside of the 52 of Schrader. And now, as Schrader tries to get by, Nocaduno in the 35.
That's the thing that could hurt Ken Schrader right now. With if one lap car goes the wrong direction, if Kenny was to commit to the inside and the lap car pulled down in front of him, that may open up the outside groove, or vice versa. But there's nobody any better right now as Mason Mingus jumps to the inside of Justin Boston to take over 3rd.
Mingus will take 3rd away from Boston. And now Mingus will set sail and see if he can catch up to that 90 of Enfinger. 38 laps to go from Toledo. Clicking off quickly now. That means that Ken Schrader will be in lap traffic more and more. Almost every turn now he's got another car to deal with, and that allows the 90 of Enfinger to close the gap and have another opportunity for the lead.
It's really important for Kenny Schrader's spotter to go up on top of the box and find those spotters for the cars that he's approaching. Say, hey, let me know where you're going to go, or give me the inside or give me the outside. Spotter's really busy right now.
Now they're going by the 55 of Taylor Furnace. Taylor's had her issues today, battery issues earlier.
That allows Kenny to open up about a 5-6 car length lead over Grant Enfinger. 35 laps to go.
35 laps remain from Toledo. It's Schrader, Infinger, Mingus, Boston and Kimmel your top 5. Then Tiff, Hessert, Self, Williams, and Mitchell your top 10. Still on the lead lap, Kopsky, Finney, and Weatherman. Remember Weatherman in that 11, also another driver just 15 years old.
And about Kopsky, first ever start on asphalt here, running in the top 15 lead lap with 34 laps to go.
Once again, Infinger able to close the gap on the 52 of Ken Schrader. And that was a 4-car length gap earlier. Looks as though Schrader might be coming back to the 90 of Infinger.
And he's being very careful. You see, very precise, not missing his marks whatsoever.
Schrader hugging that white line. So much experience at this racetrack, and now they get into heavy traffic.
This could get dicey right here. You have lap cars running side by side. That's Colin Weatherman, the 11th car. Remember, he's on the lead lap. He's the last car on the lead lap. He wants to stay ahead of Kenny Schrader.
We'll try to hold off that 52, but only a matter of time as we still have 30 laps to go from Toledo.
Infinger jumps to the outside. He's got Kenny boxed in.
Ken Schrader looking to the inside of the 11. He'll be able to make that move. That boxes the 90 back behind. They're 3 wide down the backstretch. Schrader able to get by the 2 slower lap cars. Infinger staying right in his tire tracks.
Great move by Kenny Finger to get by the 11 and the 97 there. Looked like Grant was going to have some time to make a move on the outside for just a moment. Oh, Grant gets sideways.
Once again, Grant Infinger trying to look to the inside of that 52. Hooks the left front. Got himself a little bit sideways as he came out of turn number 2. Now across the front stretch once again. Schrader has opened up a little distance.
Boy, Kenny gets that car turned. He gets such a good straight shot up off the corner. Really hard for Grant to gain anything at the exit of turn number 4.
Boston and Kimmel battling for position. Boston has 4th, Kimmel looking for it.
You can hear Frank very tentative with the throttle. Really hard to get that throttle down. Still struggling with that forward bite, it sounds like. Here to spin the tires right there. On the throttle, wide open for just an instant on the backstretch.
Trying to get by Thomas Prater in the 2. Able to do that. Still in front. Ken Schrader has 2 car lengths over Grant Infinger as they work their way around Brian Finney in the 80. A lot of smoke now coming out of the right side of that 90 of Infinger.
Kenny Schrader staying right on the bottom. Very, very straight up at the exit of the corner. See how much wider Grant goes at the exit of turn number 4, Rick.
Final 25 laps down to 24 now. Time ticking away. Infinger got his first career win in the ARCA Racing Series after finishing second 4 times in this series, but he was able to go to victory lane at Mobile earlier this year, the second race of the season for the ARCA Racing Series. Gained confidence, came back the next week at Salem and was able to finish 7th. Grant Infinger has put together 4 very solid races.
Boy, very different lines exiting turn number 4. More similar here at the exit of turn number 2. But see, Grant comes off a little bit wider. Does not lose as much ground off of 2 as he does off of turn 4.
These 2 have separated themselves by 4 seconds from Mason Mingus running in the 3rd spot. And there you see the gaggle of cars on this very short half mile.
A lot of lead lap cars right there. Austin Self, the 22, Josh Williams, the 02. There's the 77 of Tom Hessert, Mason Mitchell, and the 99. All those cars battling up in the top 10.
02 of Josh Williams, a little fresher tires than the rest of the lead lap cars. Williams running in the 8th spot, not able to take advantage of those fresh tires with just 20 laps to go.
Mason Mitchell gets to the inside of Tom Hessert.
Mitchell's going to make that pass. Takes the position away from Hessert. So Mason Mitchell moves up to the 9th position.
Kelly Kopsky's right there, trying to get by that 77, and the leaders are coming.
There's Ken Schrader. We just saw how close they are getting. to the 16 of Kopsky.
We know what a challenge lap traffic has been. These are guys trying to stay on the lead lap, 3 or 4 running together. This may dictate the race as Frank Kimmel gets to the inside of Boston.
And now Kimmel on the right side of your screen trying to pass the 25 of Justin Boston. Left side of your screen, race leader Ken Schrader, 2 car lengths over Grant Enfinger. Still holding him off. 16 laps to go as they cross the stripe.
Heavy traffic right out in front of our leader. Look at all the cars right out in front of Kenny Schrader.
So now Ken Schrader's going to have to figure out a way to get by some of the slower lap traffic. Going to try to put the 77 of Tom Hessert a lap down. Ray Dunlap.
Guys, Hessert pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear on that number 77 on our last pit stop. He lost some track position with it, but more so, he said his car is just really evil right now, and he has gone down a lap.
This goes down a lap to the 52 of Ken Schrader. The 90 of Enfinger able to clear those cars as well, so no lap cars in between our top 2.
There's Kelly Kopsky, the 16 car. He's the next car to go a lap down. Right now he's running in the 10th spot.
10 cars on the lead lap. Ken Schrader working his way by some of the slower lap traffic, closing in on the final 12 laps of racing.
See Kelly Kopsky right now running where Kenny Schrader wants to run, right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Looks as though Schrader will move to the outside. Schrader running a perfect race today.
Look at the gap he's opened up now on the 90 of Enfinger. There's a problem on the 90 of Enfinger. That motor may be going sour, Rick.
He's slowing down. Not able to keep up pace with the 52. A lot of smoke coming out of the 90. It might have just gone right there. Up the racetrack he goes. It looks like some fluid may have come out of that race car when he went up the racetrack.
Frank Kimmel's going to go by now. Enfinger's dropping positions. Weatherman's going by. Justin Boston going by.
10 laps of racing to go. Enfinger is going to have to make the hard left turn. He's going to come to pit road after running second most of this race.
It's the right front tire that went down. There was not a motor issue at all. Now it's the right front tire down on Enfinger.
So Enfinger comes onto pit road. They'll change the right side tires. That means that Schrader has a 5.5 second lead over second place Mason Mingus. Schrader now trying to hit his marks. Just 8 laps remain. As we mentioned, it's been almost 6 years since Ken Schrader has been to victory lane in the ARCA Racing Series.
Remember, 2.5 years since Kenny started an ARCA Racing Series event.
Second place is the 32 of Mason Mingus right there. And again, he is almost 6 seconds behind Ken Schrader.
This is the first time Ken Schrader's been able to breathe this entire race. He's had somebody on his rear bumper the entire time.
A lot of traffic in front of Schrader, though.
These all lead lap cars. Austin Self, the 22. Mason Mitchell, the 99. Josh Williams, the 02.
Under 6 laps remaining. Schrader working to the inside of Josh Williams. Next up will be Mason Mitchell in the 99. 5 laps to go.
Kenny has a big cushion now over that second place car of Mingus. He doesn't need to take any chances, and he won't. There's Mingus right there.
Trying to get by Hessert. Mingus to the bottom of the racetrack. Hessert, a lap down car now. Under 4 laps remain. Ken Schrader with a big lead here at Toledo Speedway. Way up the racetrack.
Looked like Bobby Gerhardt. He lost a right front tire right in front of Mason Mingus.
Gerhardt also makes his way onto pit road inside of 3 laps to go. Coming out of turn 4. 2 more laps for Ken Schrader at Toledo. A racetrack where he has been so strong.
You see that 99 car with the memory of Dick Trickle on the roof of it. The white knight underneath the number, which is what Dick Trickle used to have on his car. You see a 99 on the seat post of the 52 car of Ken Schrader honoring Dick Trickle.
White flag has gone in the air. Last lap for Ken Schrader. The last time he won at Toledo was 2006. His last win came at DuQuoin in 2007. 6 years have passed, but nothing has given up for Ken Schrader winning at Toledo.
What an outstanding run for the experienced Kenny Schrader. We talked about youth versus experience, and how about two of our top three older veteran drivers, and Mason Mingus, a great job in second.
Frank Kimmel coming home in third. Mason Mingus beats him, finishes in second. But it was Ken Schrader with a dominant performance today. He led 163 of the 200 laps. And he will make his way to the Sundrop Victory Lane area.
I wonder if Kenny's going to do a burnout and all that stuff like everyone does.
How about Kyle Larson, one of the younger drivers that we have seen win recently? He took the steering wheel off when he did his burnout. Not so sure the 57-year-old will be doing that exact burnout, but we'll see what his celebration is like when we come back to Toledo. Welcome back to Toledo Speedway. It's been 7 years since Ken Schrader's been to this victory circle, but he's back there again. Jim?
And Kenny Schrader has climbed out of the car halfway because, man, he said it's hot in there. Congrats, Kenny, on win number 16 here in the ARCA Racing Series.
The old car was good. I tell you what, though, here comes Grant, and Grant was giving me all I wanted. You know, I just love this series when you can go to a half-mile pavement and then go to the mile dirt. Thank you, Grant. And just glad that Federated Auto Parts lets us come play, and Menards supports the ARCA series. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the guys did awesome day. I got to thank Ann and Tim and Susan back in the shop, because they're the ones that kept us in business the last couple of years.
And indeed, last year, the last couple times here, you as a car owner, you guys scored top 5 finishes. Same equipment with Donnie Richardson. The driver then was Tom Hessert. So this equipment's been proven here.
Well, we got old stuff, so we just keep bringing it. But got to really thank Tom Hessert, because you know, he's run for us the last 2 years and really kept the car up front and kept us in the game.
Now, when it comes to racing here at Toledo Speedway, everything went right except for that pit stop. Your crew chief, Donnie Richardson, said, man, it's way too early to put 4 on, but it seemed to pay off for you.
You know, we didn't want to pit that early, but if everybody was going to, we didn't want to get hung out there, and it worked out. We're sitting here. We've sat here before. It hasn't always been so pretty, but this time was pretty good.
Win number 5 here at Toledo Speedway for Kenny Schrader, right?
And Jim, the guy that gave him all that pressure was Grant Enfinger. He ends up finishing 15th today. I know that result's not what you wanted, but you had a good car until the flat tire.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's nice driving for Team BCR, because we've had fast cars every race this season. So just had a little bit of bad luck. I think I was overusing the brake pedal, trying to keep it on the bottom behind Kenny, but just had a right front tire go down there at the end. But had a few issues the whole weekend we kind of had to overcome. So feel good about all the guys. Everybody, Hughes Concrete, you know, K-Site Motor Honey, everybody that's put this deal together. So it's definitely be a blessing to be in good equipment, and I can't wait to do it again.
Grant, we saw a little bit of smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe towards the end of the race. Were you able to notice any of that from the driver's seat?
Yeah, you know, I think I heard this motor at Salem. I heard it when we hit the wall there at Salem, and we've had an issue the whole weekend. So wasn't any of the guys at Roush Yates. They did everything they could. They've been honest about freshening it up, but we're trying to make it to all these races we can. So, you know, just one of those things. I think we're down a cylinder the whole race.
All right, Grant Enfinger gave him all he could today, ends up 15th today here at Toledo.
Well, thank you, Ray. Down a cylinder the whole race, and he was one of the most competitive cars on the racetrack, and probably one of the fastest through the center of the corner. And maybe that could have been because he was down a little bit on horsepower.
Down a little bit on horsepower. I was talking to some of the garage in the garage area to some of the crew chiefs. I said, "Did you detune here?" And most of them said no. But sometimes you can, if you use that throttle, you don't have to modulate it because your power's down. It'll end up being better.
Taking a look at our unofficial results, Ken Schrader once again getting to victory lane. Mason Mingus coming home second. Again, Mason Mingus and Frank Kimmel in a great points battle right now in the ARCA Racing Series, and Mingus able to finish just in front of Kimmel here.
How about outstanding results for a couple guys making their first ever start? Matt Tift and Austin Self, 5th and 6th in their first ever start here in the ARCA Racing Series.
Kyle Weatherman was 12th. He is another 15-year-old who was in the field today. Go back through the rest of the field. The Menards 200 in the books, and once again, it's Frank Kimmel that was battling to try to get up front, but Ken Schrader that was able to get the win here at Toledo. And welcome back. Very blistering pace that Ken Schrader was able to start and run here at Toledo Speedway today in the Menards 200, grabbing his 5th win at this racetrack. Let's go back trackside to Jim Trado.
Well, finishing second today was quite a feat for Mason Mingus. Twice it looked like, Mason, you got caught in the pits. You lost some position, but certainly made it back up at the end. What was the difference at the finish?
You know, we just had a really good car. We had such a great car on long runs. It was 10 times better on long runs than it was in qualifying. We got hung up in the pits twice, but it definitely wasn't any fault of our pit crew. I'll take the blame from both of those. But, you know, we had a good enough car to make it back to the front. We were just a little bit short, but I think we'll be able to get this call 811 before you dig Toyota Camry in a victory lane pretty soon. You know, we gained 10 points on Frank, so we're pretty happy with it. I got to thank our sponsors, call 811 before you dig, especially Ohio 811. They had a bunch of people come out to support us today.
Mason, you're 18. Frank's a 9-time champion. You're matching him blow for blow here, both having top 5 finishes in the first 5 races, or top 10 runs.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle all year long. You can already tell. We finished within 1 spot of each other, I think 3 times this year. So it's been, you know, it's been a battle. It's hard to gain points like that, but we'll come out of here gaining 10s. We're only behind by about 20, I think.
Great run for Mason Mingus. Congrats on second place today.
Thank you.
Let's go to Ray.
Well, thank you, Jim, and I'm with Frank Kimmel right now. You're no stranger to victory lane here, but somehow you pulled out a 3rd today. How was that possible?
Well, I tell you what, it goes back to the crew and stuff. They did a great job. I think we had a brake bleeder get loose on the right rear midway through the race, and I spun the thing out and was having a hell of a time. And they battled back. What a short track battle, great crowd. And got a good friend of mine home, Mike, is in a real battle of cancer. So this 3rd place goes out to him. I didn't say it at Talladega, I meant to, but what a hell of a day. I'm sure the fans got their money's worth today.
We got a great points battle going, too, and every time I look up on that board, I see 44 and 32, and most of the time you're running side by side.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mason does a great job, and we had a good race again today, so, you know, it's going to be like that all year long, and there's some other competitors out there that's going to be really tough, too, so congratulations to the AARP crew. You know, Schrader won the thing, and I got into 3rd, so pretty good for the old guys today.
The old-timers having a good day at Toledo, and Mason Mingus right there in that points race, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. A lot of fun there for Frank Kimmel. How close is he on his way to a 10th championship as we look at our unofficial point standings?
Look at the huge lead they have over 3rd place Tom Hessler. That's a full race right now. You get 200 points for winning. You get qualifying bonuses 15, 10, and 5 for the top 3 positions, as well as 5 points for leading a lap and 5 points for leading the most laps. But a full race ahead right now with the 3rd place Tom Hessler. But Mason Mingus, I don't think is going anywhere. He's going to stay right with him.
Frank Kimmel still wanting to get back into victory lane and go after Iggy Katona for the most wins ever in the ARCA Racing Series. Well, June 8th, he's got another opportunity. The ARCA Racing Series tangles on the tricky triangle. Don't miss the door-to-door battle to the finish, as those drivers will hold nothing back for a win. The ARCA Racing Series from Pocono, June 8th. It's 1 p.m. Eastern, live on Speed. A record crowd on hand for the Menards 200 at Toledo Speedway today, and they definitely got a great show.
It's a great partnership here with the ARCA Racing Series, Toledo Speedway, and Menards.
Ken Schrader inching ever so close to Frank Kimmel as far as most career wins at Toledo. Moves him up the list now. He's got 5 compared to Kimmel's 9. Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. I am standing by with Matt Tifft. He is from Hinckley, Ohio, and made his debut in the ARCA Racing Series today. And that Doc 360 Chevrolet was pretty good. You guys started 7th today and finished top 5. You happy with that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was. We had a really good winter on racing, Doc 360 Chevrolet today. And man, it's just it's exciting to come to a place like this. It's so fun to race. And, yeah, coming in, our expectations, we didn't have anything like for a top 5. So, I mean, to put that run together was really cool for the first time out.
When are we going to see you next?
We should be at Iowa and New Jersey. We'll keep running this series and gain some experience along the way.
Great day for a debut. That is Matt Tifft, and I want to hear from Justin Boston. He's with Jim.
And have a little bit of issues with the microphone there. We'll get back to Jim in just a moment. Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the ARCA Racing Series. Elko Speedway next up as we'll kick off June with that race, then back on speed for the Pocono Raceway and Michigan International Speedway races.
Yeah, first time ever for the ARCA Racing Series at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin on June 22nd. But very, very diverse series. Was the most diverse series.
Yep.
in the nation until now. The Truck Series will also go to dirt track races and road courses, so they'll be very comparable, but great ARCA schedule here, right here on speed.
Looks like we've got the microphone fixed. Let's go back to Jim Toledo.
Well, for Austin Wayne Self, the debut came at no better place than Toledo Speedway, a short track ace at the tender age of 16. Talk about your run here. First run for Cunningham Motorsports to 6th.
Yeah, first of all, I got to thank God for giving me a chance to be out here and running these fast cars. I knew we were going to have a fast car. Cunningham always provides really fast cars, and be able to drive one is really cool. But the whole crew, and I got to thank those guys for giving me a fast car. The AMTS Dodge is really, really fast. So, yeah, I'd say we had a good day. We came home in one piece and a top 10 finish. I'm really happy. So we'll go to the next track with a bunch of confidence.
When are we going to see you next in the ARCA Racing Series?
We're going to be going to Winchester. That's our next race.
Have fun. Nice run today to 6th.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, Austin Self Racing for Cunningham Motorsports. Their engine tuner, John Clark with Penske, and of course, Cunningham Motorsports running the Dodges. John was injured in an accident. A lot of teams are running this decal. Certainly our thoughts are with John Clark today as well.
Yeah, really impressive debuts for both Tift and Self. First races for the two of them. Tift ends up 5th, Self ends up 6th. And running against some very impressive, as far as caliber of talent that's out there on the racetrack. You've got Ken Schrader, who's won 5 times, and you've got Frank Kimmel, who's run 9 times now.
Yeah, certainly held their own, finished up on the lead lap. We only had 7 cars finish on the lead lap in this race, and those guys did an outstanding job.
You see Ken Schrader has made his way out of the car. He's going to hang out by it, though, for a while, take some more pictures. He's not going to get tired of that anytime soon. Talk to some of the competitors after that 200-lap race. They're enjoying a little talk time with Frank Kimmel and Ken Schrader, some of the other top 5. Want to take a look back at what took place here. Again, a 15-year-old bringing the field to the green flag for the first time ever. And early on, we did have a few slowdowns for issues that took place. The 69 getting sideways of Forrester.
See back on lap number 23, Kenny Schrader makes the pass on Kyle Benjamin, our pole sitter for the lead. That's a 57-year-old passing a 15-year-old for the lead here.
Second caution, the 11 goes around. That's Kyle Weatherman, the other 15-year-old in the field.
Kyle had a tire going down. He was slow at the exit of 4, got run into, turned around, made it to pit road.
Then it was issues for one of the strongest cars at the start of this race, the 15 of Kyle Benjamin.
Yeah, Kyle had such a great run. Just a 100th of a second off the track record. Did an outstanding job and had a great battle for the lead. Really, just about the entire race till the 90 of Grant Enfinger had a problem.
Grant Enfinger and Ken Schrader ran door to door for quite a few laps, exchanging the lead between the two. The third caution came out. The 61 got into the 10 of Blake Hillard, and Hillard goes around.
Jake Francis in the 61 made slight contact with the 10, and around he went.
Our fourth caution was a little bit rare. The 44 of Frank Kimmel, 9-time winner at this track, spun all by himself.
I could probably say that Frank hasn't done that maybe a handful of times in the last 10 years where he would spin out on his own. Certainly he gets caught up in some incidents, but to spin out on his own is pretty rare.
And this was a close call for Frank Kimmel. Right in front of him, the 97 of Roger Carter goes around.
With a little help from Kelly Kopsky in the 16.
And then Kimmel, after the 55 slowed, there was an issue with the battery on the 55 of Taylor Ferns. Kimmel got into the back of that car.
Here's Grant Enfinger again, continuing the battle. We saw this theme the entire race. Heavy traffic. Kenny able to be flawless through that traffic. So he can make a 3-wide pass here on the inside.
Schrader so strong, and then the 90 of Grant Enfinger. The right front tire goes down. He goes all the way up the racetrack, has to come on to pit road. He was running second and battling for the lead when that right front goes down, and that really handed the win over to Ken Schrader.
We saw smoke just about the entire race from the 90, but it ended up being a flat tire that put him out of contention. And there's Kenny Schrader, goes to victory lane for the 16th time in the ARCA Racing Series.
Virtually perfect race for Ken Schrader as he grabs the hardware. 5 races in the ARCA Racing Series, and 5 different winners have gone to victory lane. John West Townley grabbing his first career win. Grant Infinger also with a first career win in the ARCA Racing Series to start off the 2013 season. Let's go back trackside to Jim Toledo.
And the Rulo brothers, in tribute to Dick Trickle, put his name above the door. The driver of the White Knight, number 99 today for Rulo, Mason Mitchell. Great run to 7th. Tell us about your run, Mason.
Thank you. First off, I got to thank Happy Cheeks BVX, and it's an honor to, have Dick Trickle's name on the car here. But, it was a battle all day long there. We got marks on every inch of the car, I think. So, we made some adjustments there. We're getting better. And, I think one of the runs late in the race, we got contact in the right front, knocked the toe out pretty good, and the steering wheel wasn't aligned right. So, that made us a little bit more tighter than we wanted to be there. But, all in all, it was a decent run. Wish it could have been in victory lane, but the Ruler brothers gave me a good car today, and I can't ask for much more.
Way to keep digging, Mason.
Thank you.
Second top 10 finish of this young season, guys. Let's now check in with Ray.
Thank you, Jim. I want to give a shout out to Josh Williams. He finished 6th at Talladega and an 8th place run today. If you guys could have just waited a little bit later to get those tires, it might have made a big difference.
Yeah, just a few laps later. We were real worried about not getting that last caution, but it did come, and that was unfortunate, but we still got a good top 10 finish. Car's in one piece, and we don't have to do much work to it.
All right, good luck. We'll see you at Pocono. That is Josh Williams, gets a top 10 today here at Toledo.
And it ends up that the top 7 were the only cars on the lead lap. That's the pace that Ken Schrader set here at Toledo. Gorgeous day, a gorgeous day for racing. Toledo Speedway. And a guy who had another great finish, top 5 for Justin Boston. Let's go down to Jim Toledo.
Well, it's finally come for Justin Boston, a top 5 finish with high expectations in the Venturini Signature 25 ride. Talk us about your race here to 4th.
Man, our race was it was a good race, to say the least. Our loop camera was really good. My pit crew, I gotta thank them. They got me really good track position, and it paid off for us. We came out P2 with a little more than 100 to go, or less than 100 to go, and we just didn't have enough forward drive for these guys at the end. But all in all, a solid day for us.
Talk about the confidence you now have with this first top 5 finish, knowing you're running full-time this season.
Yeah, it definitely helps. We had a good rebound today from Talladega last week, or 2 weeks ago, and it's a good day. Loop, thank them, and everybody for helping me out. Venturini Motorsports gave me a good piece, and just everybody that's on this program.
Solid effort for Justin Boston, coming home 4th today in the 25.
Thank you, Jim. See Justin Allgaier down there, former champion of the ARCA Racing Series. Today he was a crew chief for Kovsky.
Yeah, did a great job too. They finished with a top 10, a 9th spot, got lapped really late. But take a look at the upcoming schedule here for the ARCA Racing Series.
Again, Elko Speedway, the next stop for the ARCA Racing Series. And then Pocono and Michigan will both be on speed. You want to make sure to tune in for those races. Always very entertaining. Ken Schrader was able to avoid contact pretty much the entire race, which was not the case, we could say, for the 44 of Frank Kimmel. But 16th win for Ken Schrader, and it comes at Toledo Speedway. Now let's head to Austin, Texas for the V8 Supercars.